if you check in families where siblings are getting along and the parents are united, they get to become more successful. And we put why is it that in the families where people are poor, people are struggling, they're not getting along. Some of them don't even talk to one another. These are the real issues that must be addressed. Whenever there's peace, whenever there's unity, whenever people get along, God will definitely visit you and you will definitely achieve a lot of things. So the spirit of unity is needed in our society wherever we are. Moya Ke Ote, Moya Ke Ote, O Rena Rebana Ba Modimo. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Barato, welcome back to Moya Ke Ote, a podcast with Mashao Sedibeng. Let me start by thanking our Lord God Almighty for making it possible for us to reach yet another episode. And I believe that by His grace, by His mercy, this platform will grow to impact millions of people's lives across the world. But as they say, charity begins at home. I believe that we have already impacted your life wherever you are. You know, today I'm very, 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 very excited. As you can see, I'm dressed by BKM, Bophelo Ke Ba Modimo clothing brand. No, this is amazing. It's a small podcast that is growing on its own pace. I'm excited to announce that there are people who comes on board, brands that support us. They gave me all this thing just because they love what I'm doing. Who's the founder of BKM? There's this gent. You can check him out on Facebook, Okmalume TP. You know, when I uploaded my first episode of this podcast, he got really inspired and he went on Facebook to write a very huge paragraph expressing how much he felt impacted and inspired by me just simply starting this podcast. And he watched the first episode of Moya Ke Ote podcast, and he told me that he has always wanted to start a clothing brand for many years. He has been struggling, but by seeing me starting this podcast and getting to hear the things that I'm advocating for, getting to hear the things that I'm talking about, he got inspired and he started this brand, Bophelo Ke Ba Modimo. So shout out to Okmalume TP. Check him out on Facebook and support his brand. You know, all the brands started somewhere. All the big brands that we see today, they started somewhere. So he has just started his own clothing brand, BKM, Bophelo Ke Ba Modimo. It simply means that life belongs to God. What an amazing brand. You know, I think when you are dressed by BKM, you have that confidence. Bophelo Ke Ba Modimo. Life belongs to God, and you put everything in God's hands. And everything that you do, you put it on God. Like, I think it's even more greater when you've worked on your relationship with God and you are able to put God first in everything that you do. So I'm inspired by BKM, and I'm really happy that this podcast it's inspiring other people, and there are people who love what we are doing here at Moya Ke Ote podcast. And I believe that everyone who's supporting us, one day you're gonna be the best. If you are the best now, you're gonna be more than what you are today. So shout out to Okmalume TP, BKM, Bophelo Ke Ba Modimo. As you know that I always start with some words of encouragement. How do I advise you today? Already this brand that I'm dressed in is inspiring you, it's impacting your life. You get to know gore bophelo ke ba Modimo, life belongs to God. So I just want to encourage you on something here, on something here. As people, wherever we are, whatever we do, I think we must respect everyone in our society, regardless of their position, who they are, what they do for living, what car are they driving, or what they are wearing. You know, oftentimes in society, people choose to respect people based on their status. And I think it's so wrong. As a society, we must be able to practice the spirit of unity. If you go back and watch the first episode, I'm breaking down what is Moya Ke Ote, what is unity. In unity, we believe in respecting people regardless of who they are, loving everyone, being kind to everybody. You know, I think if we practice these things of humanity, like, our society is going to be a better place, because we are faced with a lot of challenges in our society. But if we can be able to 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 maximize on the smaller things like respect, love, care, kindness, we're going to overcome a lot of challenges that we're facing in our society. And we can also teach the young ones to respect everyone. When you have, like, you are planting a tree, it is still small. It's easy for you to set the direction for that tree, unlike it is already grown up and stuff. So I think our children, we must teach them young that respect is very, very important. And we must apply it to everyone, regardless who they are, their position, and what's or not. You know, when I woke up this morning, um, I woke up to this call 010. I think a lot of guys, you know that when you get a 087 call, 021, like you already think of the promoters, people who are selling you insurance, people who are telling you to buy this, to buy this, like the call center people. Sometimes it's irritating, and you might feel like, no, man, these people are just wasting my time. Already I have these things, or I don't need this thing that they're selling. You know, this week I've been doing an application online for something else. So I'm worried. Why are they not replying my emails and things like that? So when I get that call in the body, first one, I answered and I drop. The second one, I answered it, only to realize it's from the people who are making an application to. So imagine if I just ignored it, because I have that mindset, yeah, or these calls like that, it's always people who are selling something to me. So it taught me humbleness, to just be humble. And hence I'm talking about, let's respect everybody, no matter how they look, no matter who they are. It's very, very important in our society. Yeah, before we get into today's topic, a moment of silence. Okay. Let's send condolences to the family of Tito Mboweni. He was a politician. He was the Minister of Finance at some point. He was the governor. He was the Minister of Labor. He has just passed away this past week. So may his soul rest in peace. And condolences to his family and all his loved ones. You know, he was such a great person with a huge sense of humor. When it comes to him cooking and doing all those things, he was just an amazing personality in society. So may his soul rest in peace. And also in the Sione gospel music, we have faced another loss, the late Monni Chaba. He passed away this past weekend as well, as people were waiting for him to come and perform at Sipiring Lemorena. an event by minor Rams. So may his soul rest in peace, and condolences to his family, his fans, and to everybody who loved him, and to everybody who's affected by this funeral. May God help you and give you strength. So may the souls of these legends rest in peace. So what are we talking about today? Today, I want us to talk about something. Ne? I was on a conversation with a friend a few days ago, and I realized, or no, man, I can actually talk about this thing on the podcast. We were talking about the issue of will. When someone has passed away, there's always a will that specify, or this person is gonna take this much, this person is gonna take that much. So my question is that, is it necessary to have a will as a parent, or as an adult? Because there are some people, they don't have children, but they're old enough and they have assets, they have the things that they have achieved. Is it necessary to have a will? And when you have it, do you have to disclose it to the beneficiaries, or it will be a surprise? We will all get to see that after you have passed away. Because this conversation came, this guy was saying it's unfair, or obe motho ka ra will, but o kry motho la sa go direle selo. What do you think about this? Please, let's have this conversation in the comment section. What do you think? Like, only the people who are on my will are the one who must look after me, maybe when I get older, are the ones who must be at the forefront, because when I die, they're going to benefit. It's a very huge question. And then I also asked a question that I'm asking here. Let's say you have 5 children or whatever number. How do you determine, or how you share your property, your asset to them? How do you design your will? What makes someone to be eligible to get more than the others? Because it's very, very important that wherever you are, you get to think about it. Because in society, anything that has to do with death, people don't want to talk about it. More especially in the African culture, we feel like we feel like we're calling for death to come closer. But looking at the fights that we see in families, I feel like sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's very necessary that people get to engage about these things. So let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. But in my own views, to answer these things, I think people who must look after you, it's not only the people who are on the wheel. Like, we should just look after each other as family members. Everybody who has time, everybody who has the resources must use them to look after you. We cannot say that only the beneficiaries on your will must be the one who are taking care of you. And when it comes to what is the eligibility, how do we determine whether this person gets more than the other? I think parents should just be able to share things equally to their children. Because sometimes someone would say they end up giving someone more simply because they see that that person is not achieving well than the others. And I think it's a valid point whereby parents can just decide to give a certain child the house, because when they look at all the 5 of you or 4 of you, 3 are working, others are married, they have their own houses, but this one is struggling to make means ends, and they end up giving that one more on the wheel. But some people don't understand it. They see it as favoritism. So now let's talk about parity. I think parenting it's very tough, more especially these days. And I think parenting needs leadership skill from parents, from people who are parents. You are a leader to those people. It might be 3 children. You know, the things that we see in society. There's even shows at Moja Love whereby the name of the show is Gugitila. It's when people are fighting for the house. People are always fighting for the parents' inheritance. So as a parent, how can you avoid this? The first point, I think, is to look at your children and see who's best at what, who's best at what. Know your children and communicate with them, all of them. And I find it necessary that people must know about those wills, Horing, what's in the will while you are still alive, so that they do not get surprised when you are no more. It helps to avoid unnecessary conflict after your death as a parent. If they have to fight, let them fight while you're still alive. Tell them very clear, Horing, this house will belong to so and so. But talking about house and things like that, I think as a parent, you must be able to empower your children as much as you can so that they can all be independent, so that your house is a home for everybody. Those things, ngwana wa last born in I think it's wrong at some point. Like, our parents' home must just be our home. Everyone must be able to be independent and be able to start their family somewhere else, so that we know that when we go home, we're going home. Like, it's our parents' house. But if there's someone who's struggling in the family, as a parent, you must be able to apply your leadership skills. You must be able to communicate with other kids so that they can be able to allow that child to own the house after your passing. And now someone would say, like, when we talk about parenting skills in families, problem ya gore, parents are doing things for someone, like they're older, but they still buy them a car. They still help them to do other things, but they don't do those things to other children. But when you look into the family clearly, or others have got their lives together. Maybe the other one is running a business and it's going properly. The other one is working and it's doing good. But there's this one, things are not going all right. Do you want to blame the parents when they support that child with getting them a car? Maybe they should just go and do Bolt or Uber or whatever that they want to do, or helping them to start a business. I think it requires high level of leadership in the family, and to avoid such conflicts in the family where people do not understand each other is through communication. I think as parents, you must be able to sit your children down every now and then and to update each other about where you are, about what is happening in the family, about the things that you want them to do. Because if you're not communicating about things, we end up having siblings who are not talking to each other. It's really sad, whereby other kids are just being successful. And there's this one, whatever they're trying to do, it's not working out. But maybe the 3 of you, you're moving nicely, you're cruising nicely, and there's this one child. So as a parent, you must be able to treat them equally without showing favoritism to the other one. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be fair as a person in general, even at your workplace, even wherever you are. It's not easy to be fair. So you must pray for wisdom as a parent to be able to lead your family in a proper way. And now there's this issue. Sometimes parents get to glorify kids who are doing well. And they literally forget about that one who struggles. They usually say that when you don't have money, you don't have a say at family gatherings. It's true at some point. Even in a one household, someone who's not working, someone who's not earning, they are not able to share their views. Their views are not taken serious. So I think parents sometimes are the ones who are making kids not to get along, who are making their children not to get along. So I think as a parent, you must be wise enough to be able to acknowledge your children's strengths and weaknesses and be able to communicate them to all of them and try by all means to treat them equally. You know, when I started this podcast, when I started this episode, I mentioned that we must be able to respect people without knowing their position. So we must be able to respect everyone. As a parent, treat your children no matter how successful they are, no matter how good or bad they are. We sometimes have people in our household whereby there's this boy, he's smoking yaope or he's too much on alcohol. Already, society has written off that child. Why should we write him off as well? If you have a member of your family, your brother, your sister, or your son who's an addict to nyaope or whatever substance, or they're doing bad things in society, you are the first person who must support that child. You are the first person who must be there for them no matter what. Yes, you must teach them accountability, but do not write them off. Do not disown your child. You know, a lot of people like, for example, Gayton McKenzie usually says that when he was in prison, his mother used to visit him there every week and she will pray for him. Like she believed in God that my child will one day change. Now Gayton McKenzie is a minister in South Africa. So it's possible that even when your child has been written off by society, as a parent, you can pray. As a parent, you can support that child, and that child will move out of being a nyaupes. That child will move out of drugs, out of crime, because as a family, as an immediate family, you showed that person love. Already, as a society, we don't want your child. We are sick and tired worrying, who dirile this, who dirile that. But you as a parent, you as a brother, as a sister, you must love that person. You must show him care. You must support them. You must show them that they can be able to change their life. It's doable. Because we cannot say just because society does not want you, we can't do that. So parenting is very tricky because you have like 7 children, you have 4 children, 3 children. They will have different personalities and they're going to be successful in different ways, in different times. They're not going to be the same. So as a parent, you must be able to balance them. You must be able to love all of them regardless. You must be able to care for them, even that one who's unemployed. Encourage them, show them what they can do with their lives. Try to find something for them so that they can also be accommodated in society and in the family as well. So as siblings, we also have a responsibility to get along. We must be able to talk. We must be able to communicate about all different issues that we face, and we must be open. You know, whenever you are open to one another, you are able to resolve a lot of things. You are able to achieve a lot of things that you can achieve. You know, if you check in families where siblings are getting along and the parents are united, they get to become more successful. And we put or why is it that in the families where people are poor, people are struggling, uh, they're not getting along. Some of them don't even talk to one another. These are the real issues that must be addressed. Whenever there's peace, whenever there's unity, whenever people get along, God will definitely visit you and you will definitely achieve a lot of things. So the spirit of unity is needed in our society wherever we are. That's why we are Moya Ke Ote podcast. We are advocating for unity in the whole world, but it starts in our communities. It starts in our homes. It starts with you and your wife. It starts at your workplace with your colleagues. Let's practice the spirit of unity. We will be able to achieve a lot of things, a lot of societal matters that we are faced with, a lot of poverty that we are faced with in our society, a lot of crime, a lot of unemployment. If we can be able to master the spirit of unity, we're going to come up with real solutions. We're going to come up with solutions that will make a difference in the world. So thank you guys for tuning in to Moya Ke Ote podcast. I really appreciate your love and support. And I believe that by the grace of our Lord Almighty, this platform will grow bigger. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do the right thing. Subscribe on this YouTube. Subscribe on this YouTube channel. Moya Ke Ote platform. It's a platform for everybody. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Until we meet again, may God bless you. Tango.